The Art of Worldly Wisdom, Baltasar, Gracian. A man at his highest point. We are not born perfect. Every day we develop in our personality and in our calling till we reach the highest point of our completed being, to the full round of our accomplishments, of our excellence. This is known by the purity of our taste, the clearness of our thought, the maturity of our judgment, and the firmness of our will. Some never arrive at being complete. Somewhat is always a wanting, others ripen late. The complete man, wise in speech, prudent in act, is admitted to the familiar intimacy of discreet persons, is even sought for by them. Avoid victories over superiors. All victories breed hate, and that over your superior is foolish or fatal. Superiority is always detested. A fortiori superiority over superiority. Caution can gloss over common advantages. For example, good looks may be cloaked by careless attire. There may be some that will grant you precedence in good luck or good temper, but none in good sense, least of all a prince. For good sense is a royal prerogative. Any claim to that is a case of lèse majestique. They are princes and wish to be so in that most princely of qualities. They will allow man to help them, but not to surpass them, and will have any advice tendered them appear like a recollection of something they have forgotten, rather than as a guide to something they cannot find. The stars teach us this finesse with happy tact. Though they are his children and brilliant like him, they never rival the brilliancy of the sun. To be without passions. 'Tis a privilege of the highest order of mind. Their very eminence redeems them from being affected by transient and low impulses. There is no higher rule than that over oneself, over one's impulses. There is the triumph of free will. While passion rules the character, no aiming at high office, the less the higher. It is the only refined way of avoiding scandals, nay, 'tis the shortest way back to good repute. Avoid the faults of your nation. Water shares the good or bad qualities of the strata through which it flows, and man those of the climate in which he is born. Some owe more than others to their native land because there is more favorable sky in the zenith. There is not a nation, even among the most civilized, that has not yet some fault peculiar to itself, which other nations blame by way of boast or as a warning. 'Tis a triumph of cleverness to correct in oneself such national failings, or even to hide them. You get great credit for being unique among your fellows, and as it is less expected of you, it is esteemed the more. There are also family failings as well as faults of position, of office, or of age. If these all meet in one person and are not carefully guarded against, they make an intolerable monster. Fortune and fame. Where the one is fickle, the other is enduring. The first for life, the second afterwards. The one against envy, the other against oblivion. Fortune is desired, at times assisted. Fame is earned. The desire for fame springs from man's best part. It was and is the sister of the giants. It always goes to extremes, horrible monsters or brilliant prodigies. Cultivate those who can teach you. Let friendly conversation be a school of knowledge, and culture be taught through conversation. Thus you make your friends your teachers, and mingle the pleasures of conversation with the advantages of instruction. Sensible persons thus enjoy alternating pleasures. They reap applause for what they say, and gain instruction from what they hear. We are always attracted to others by our own interest, but in this case it is of the higher kind. Wise men frequent the houses of great noblemen, not because they are temples of vanity, but as theatres of good breeding. There be gentlemen who have the credit of worldly wisdom, because they are not only themselves oracles of all nobleness by their example and their behavior, but those who surround them form a well-bred academy of worldly wisdom of the best and noblest kind. Nature and art, material and workmanship. There is no beauty unadorned and no excellence that would not become barbaric if it were not supported by artifice. This remedies the evil and improves the good. Nature scarcely ever gives us the very best, For that we must have recourse to art. Without this, the best of natural disposition is uncultured, and half is lacking to any excellence if training is absent. Everyone has something unpolished without artificial training, and every kind of excellence needs some kind of polish. Act sometimes on second thoughts, and sometimes on first impulse. Man's life is a warfare against the malice of men. Sagacity fights with strategic changes of intention. It never does what it threatens. It aims only at escaping notice. It aims in the air with dexterity and strikes home in an unexpected direction, always seeking to conceal its game. It lets a purpose appear in order to attract the opponent's attention, but then turns round and conquers by the unexpected. But a penetrating, intelligent anticipates this by watchfulness and lurks in ambush. It always understands the opposite of what the opponent wishes it to understand and recognizes every feign of guile. It lets the first impulse pass by and waits for the second or even the third. Sagacity now rises to higher flights of seeing its artifice foreseen, and tries to deceive by truth itself, changes its game in order to change its deceit, and cheats by not cheating, and founds deception on the greatest candor. But the opposing intelligence is on guard with increased watchfulness, and discovers the darkness concealed by the light and deciphers every move, the more subtle because more simple. In this way the guile of the python combats the far-darting rays of Apollo. The thing itself and the weight is done. Substance is not enough. Accident is always required, as the scholastics say. A bad manner spoils everything, even reason and justice. A good one supplies everything, gilds a no, sweetens truth, and adds a touch of beauty to old age itself. The how plays a large part in affairs. A good manner steals into the affection. Fine behavior is a joy in life, and a pleasant expression helps out a difficulty in a remarkable way. Keep ministering spirits. It is a privilege of the mighty to surround themselves with the champions of intellect. These extricate them from every fear of ignorance. These worry out for them the moot points of every difficulty. 'Tis a rare greatness to make use of the wise, and far exceeds the barbarous taste of Tigrans, who had a fancy for captive monarchs as his servants. It is a novel kind of supremacy, the best that life can offer, to have as servants by skill those who by nature are our masters. 'Tis a great thing to know, little to live, no real life without knowledge. There is remarkable cleverness in studying without study, in getting much by means of many, and through them all to become wise. Afterwards you speak in the council chamber on behalf of many, and as many sages speak through your mouth as were consulted beforehand. You thus obtain the fame of an oracle by others' toil. Such ministering spirits distill the best books and serve up the quintessence of wisdom. But he that cannot have sages in service should have for them his friends.